All right, now you can hear me. Thank you. I had to turn my mic on. All right, we're going to back from the top. So 1 to 10, my question to you guys as you're hopping on. Scale of 1 to 10, how did you feel after quarterfinals, the open, or are you generally 1, sore after a workout, completely drained? 10 is a feel great. Yes, thank you, Amy, for letting me know my microphone was off. So 1 to 10. 10 is great, 1 is drained. How you felt after the open, quarterfinals, or generally how you feel after your workouts. You're going to drop that in the chat. We're going to have engagement in the chat. You've got some emojis and things that you're going to be clapping, fist bumping, having a good time. So if you haven't figured out the chat feature, go ahead and take a quick peek to find that now. So if you're training hard, you're showing up consistently, you're eating what you feel like is pretty healthy, and you're still feeling like a 3, a 4, right? Feeling pretty sore. You're probably at least making 1 or 2 of the recovery mistakes that we're going to talk about. And a lot of times, these might not be so obvious, and they're certainly pretty simple. So if you're here, thank you for being here. You're already doing the hard part, showing up in the gym, working hard, training, going through the open, quarterfinals, hero wads, right? But if you're tired, sore, low energy, not seeing progress, it might not be your efforts, but it might be your recovery. So we're going to walk through 5 of the biggest recovery mistakes that I see all the time, working with my CrossFitters, my athletes, and more importantly, we're going to talk about how to fix them without overcomplicating your life, right? So most of it, like I said, it's going to be pretty simple, and it's going to be maybe not rocket science, but something that's doable, something that you can think about of like, oh yeah, I probably do that. Or, oh yeah, I might want to pay more attention to that. So let's hop right into the first recovery mistake. First one is sleep. Treating sleep like it's optional. And we have Dr. Chin also here joining us. She's our registered dietitian who has her PhD in sleep and nutrition and recovery. We'll talk more about that at the end of the presentation. But sleep is your highest return on investment, hands down. Sleep is when your body actually is recovering. It's doing the work. Sleep is where muscle repair happens. When you go to bed, your body releases growth hormone, which is this great hormone that helps our muscles get stronger, our muscles get bigger. Sleep is that recovery time even for your nervous system, right? So sleep, really, really important in our recovery. That's when it happens. So if your sleep is off, you're not getting ideally 7 to 9 hours of restful sleep. If the dog's waking you up or you're getting up 2 or 3 times throughout the night to go to the bathroom, we're not getting that full sleep cycle that we need. So sleep is off, everything else is gonna feel a lot harder. Specifically, maybe some of us don't want to hear this in the room, but specifically sleep becomes even more important if you're over 40. If you are under stress, you've got some stressful situations, work, home, school going on. I don't know if you've ever noticed if you're under a lot of stress and you're more sore from your workouts, or if you're maybe fighting something, there's some kind of gunk or something going around, you might be a little sick and your immune system is a little stressed, having to work overtime. You're probably going to be more sore from your workouts around that time too. And then even hormonal shifts for my women, cycle to cycle, for my men, as we age and different hormones change or decrease, right? Or my women, perimenopause, menopause, those hormonal shifts also all greatly impact your sleep and needing more of it. So what do most people do? What are some of the biggest mistakes that I see, right? If we're staying up too late, oftentimes I'll tell my patients, can we just get in bed like 15 minutes earlier? Just put a timer on your iPhone, make it sing a little nice chime to alert you that it's time to get going for bed. Scrolling, doom scrolling, we all know that one, right? And another one, an excuse, if you will, that I hear is, I'll catch up later. I'll get sleep this weekend, right? I got to get this done. And before you know it, you're scrolling and it's 2 hours later and you're like, oh, I need to get more than 6 hours tonight. I'll catch up on the weekend. Don't worry. Let me tell you a secret. you don't catch up, right? So instead, what we're really going to think about is consistency. We're finding more and more with sleep that the consistency of time you go to bed, time you wake up is really, really important. So if there's anything, right, if you're like 6 hours is all I got to wake up at 4 a.m., I got to coach at 5 a.m., right? Or I got to be at the gym for my 5 a.m. workout, or I got kids to shuffle to school or whatever. If you are not in that 7 to 9 window yet, but consistently time you're going to bed, time you're waking up. Our bodies like consistency. It likes for us to have consistent protein throughout the day, which is going to be a hint of something we're going to talk about, but consistency throughout the day, right? There are if you are CrossFit SDA with us and you have bingo cards, there are a lot of these fixes listed on your bingo cards, reducing light at night or specifically blue light on your phone, right? Creating a simple wind down routine, having something in the evening kind of decompress you from the day, relax from the day. Sleep is going to be a huge component. And part of why I have it as number one on our list is our sleep. But where does the nutrition come into this, right? Drop in the chat real quick. I'm curious, before I tell you the answer, if you're doing any kind of recovery nutrition before bed. What does that mean? A snack before bed. Is there anything that you know of that is helpful for before bed recovery? Drop it in the chat. If you don't know, you can just give me a clap with the emojis. We'll get figuring out the emojis here. But so nutrition plays a huge role in that time frame. There we go. Somebody says banana, Whitney. Plays a huge role in that time frame of before we're going to bed. So we're training hard, we're going to bed under fueled, your body's trying to catch up on sleep instead of recovering. It needs fuel to recover. And specifically, I say fuel, food. We need a protein source, right? So we'll talk about the banana here in a second, Whitney. Yes, Leah, we're going with protein. That's the direction. If at all possible, 30 grams. That's a lot, but that is the science and the research says 30 grams of protein before bed is really ideal for that muscle repair cycle to start happening. Specifically, if it's a dairy protein, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, or casein, those types of proteins specifically have an amino acid in them that turns on your muscle pathway. It turns on building muscle. So if you can get 30 grams, great. If you need something a little closer to 20, I know there's some Greek yogurts and things out there that are closer to 20, 23. Casein would probably be the easiest one where you could get 30 grams of protein before bed. That's like a protein powder. But I have, Whitney, ding, 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 I have casein and half a banana, right? We really want to pair our proteins with a carbohydrate, whether that's before bed or post-workout. Also a really important time to pair carbs and protein. Maybe it is cottage cheese and fruit. Maybe you're doing pineapple or peaches, right? Maybe it's a Greek yogurt and adding some berries in there, right? Our berries, our peaches, pineapples, bananas, those are all going to be carbohydrates. Do we want to have a big pasta dinner before bed or a brownie or ice cream? No. We do not want to spike our blood sugars right before bed, but we want protein and carbohydrates that's going to stabilize our blood sugars before bed. So protein, repairing muscle. Carbs are going to help stabilize that blood sugar and improve your sleep. Anyone here, just give me a yes or a maybe not a clap, maybe a thumbs up. Anyone here waking up at 2 or 3 a.m.? Does somebody have this habit of like I wake up at 2 a.m. I don't know why, 3 a.m. or sometime in the morning, early morning. This is one of the first things. If that happens to you, you can raise your hand and make a clap, or we got Brandon. There we go. All right. We got lots of folks. Amy, Jess, right? Waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. Okay, y'all, work on your stress, one, right? But when we're waking up at 2 or 3 a.m., oftentimes our cortisol is spiking. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It wakes us up, which is helpful when we want to wake up in the morning, not helpful when we're waking up at 2 to 3 a.m. So if you said yes to this question, maybe think about some of the stress strategies. We might have some tips on that in a minute for managing stress. But what is one of the things you can do nutritionally? That carb paired with a protein. That might be the secret sauce for you to break that wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. Get a snack before bed that has a carb and a protein. Maybe do an evening wind down routine. Figure out some stress management tools. That is going to be one of the best things for that waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. Cortisol spike. Supplement wise, we're not going to go too far into supplements, but I want to give you guys some supplements that can be really helpful. You may have heard of magnesium glycinate before. Not you, maybe you've heard of magnesium before. Glycinate is the form of magnesium that you would want to do before bed. I have for you guys on your bingo cards the magnesium glycinate, and the 200 to 400 milligrams is kind of, I'd start it too. The dosing for magnesium, if you were to do that before bed. Magnesium is great for stress, sleep, recovery, also the helping prevent cramping, muscle twitches, that kind of thing. My athletes, my CrossFitters, you guys are doing high intensity. You need more nutrients than the average person. Magnesium is one of those nutrients that most of my athletes are doing because the sleep, recovery, stress, muscles, all of that. Our magnesium does a lot of things in our body that is really important. So that is if you are looking for a supplement upgrade there. All right, let's go to mistake number 2, underfueling. And this one is huge because let me ask you in the chat, have you ever been on a cut, calorie deficit? You're trying to lose some body fat, trying to keep your muscle, keep your strength, keep your workouts going well. You go into a workout and you're just like, man, I feel tired, feel exhausted. Anybody had that happen where you're cutting? I call it cutting. You're trying to lose weight and your workouts start to suffer. You're like, well, I really don't want to do that because I want to keep crushing these wads and being top on the leaderboard, right? And you feel like you sometimes have to choose between, well, do I want to change my body composition or do I want to keep pushing hard in my workouts? I need that fuel, right? Or how can I be in a cut or be losing weight and still performing well? I will say meet with a dietitian. I can give you all the secrets, right? I do work with a lot of people wanting to body recomp is generally what I talk about. Gain more muscle, lose body fat, perform better, recover better. And one of the keys is making sure you're not underfueling or undereating or being in too much of a calorie deficit. That's where we're going with this. So it might not be that you're overtraining. It might be that you're underfueling, right? So what's actually going on? Well, we probably know we're not eating enough calories, we're not getting enough fuel, we don't have enough energy. Kind of a simple concept there, if you will, right? But what's really going on is your muscles will store carbohydrates. It's called glycogen. So you maybe have heard of carb loading before, right? But we want to make sure we're getting enough to eat so that we are able to pull those carbs from our blood, sugars from our blood or from our muscles to get that glycogen. Essentially, one of the best things you can do if you are trying to change your body composition, lose some body fat, is a pre-workout carb. This is a bonus. This is a how to fuel before your workouts. But a pre-workout carb is really going to help you be able to push through that workout if you are trying to be in that calorie deficit. So that is kind of a non-negotiable for anybody who's trying to lose body fat. When you're underfueling also, this is putting your body higher stress on your body. Your systems are trying to find the energy, trying to find the food, and it's not there. Right? So also what we really see when somebody's cutting too hard or they're underfueling is your recovery between workouts. It's slower. You may do a workout and you're a little bit sore for a couple days and then you're back into the gym or back to your pushing hard, right? Or if you're underfueling, you might do a workout and then you're sore for a week and you're like, what the heck? Why am I sore for a week from this workout? I'm never sore. What's going on, right? Maybe it's your sleep. Maybe you're not eating enough. Get your pre-workout carb. Do that banana before your workout there, Brittany. All right. So what are most people doing? I know people are busy. Sometimes hunger cues aren't there anymore, right? So most of the time this happens if you're skipping a meal. You're like, oh crap, it's 3:00. I need to get ready for the gym. And oh, I forgot my lunch today, but that's all right. I'll get there. I'll get dinner after. Skipping meals. That's a huge one, right? You maybe aren't trying to lose weight in a calorie deficit, but you could be underfueling because you've gone all day and all you had was your protein shake this morning and you skipped lunch, right? We talked about going into the workouts themselves, underfueled, having that carb before your workout. And then also, if we're underfueling, if we're not getting enough calories, enough food, enough nourishment, oftentimes we're not getting enough protein, which is key for our workouts and our recovery, right? Building that muscle, getting stronger. All right. So I want to hear, has anybody, be honest, has anybody gone into a workout underfueled before? Give me an emoji or a yes in the chat. Let's see some hands. Underfueled all the time. Okay, Amy, let's talk. There we go. Brandon, yes. Anybody have a favorite pre-workout carb they do or are going to do now? Right? That's part of our fix. If you have a pre-workout carb that you do before your workouts, I want to hear. Type that in the chat. Give us some good ideas that we can take away and use ourselves. So the fix for this, carbs before your workout, absolutely. That carb protein combo after your workout, right? And another one I kind of alluded to earlier, hitting your daily protein consistently, right? So making sure if you feel like you're under fueling, we need to focus on carbs before a workout, protein and carbs after, hitting your daily protein consistently, right? Okay, do I have any examples? Examples of carbs before your workout. I can give you some of my favorites. So again, the banana or fruit before class. I really like the dried mango strips as a dried fruit would be a good option. If you've seen the Go-Go Squeeze applesauces, they've gotten really smart and have made a Go-Go Squeeze electrolytes for active adults. Right? Go-Go Squeeze is an applesauce usually for kids. Now they've made one that they've made for adults. It's great. I like, let's see, how many grams of carbs before workout, Amy? Ooh, great question. And then Chin, pre-workout dates and bananas. Ooh, dates are a really good one. Dates are very great sugar. Don't eat too many of them. They can have a lot of fiber in them too. So how many grams of carbs before workout? That's a great question, Amy. Generally, I'm saying, especially if you're maybe like a 5 a.m. workouter, you work out at 5 a.m., you may not really want to eat anything, right? So that's when my 5 a.m. folks, I say, grab a Go-Go Squeeze, right? Get the Go-Go Squeeze out the door in the car as you're on the way to the gym. I think that has around like 15, 20 carbs. The idea is you find something that you can tolerate that's light on your stomach, right? I'll tell you, I made a mistake the other day. I had a half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is a great pre-workout. Usually I try and do that like an hour before. And then I had a half a protein shake and I didn't mean to drink as much of the protein shake. And then I did Hero Wad and it was not a great, I was like, that was way too much. Right. So, but a half a peanut butter and jelly, usually I'm doing that about 45 to 60 minutes before, but that's a really great, simple sugar. But I'm usually thinking about what can you tolerate? And it's usually, so one serving of carbs is about 15 grams. If you're doing about one serving, I will give you guys a resource. It's called the food list. So I will share that with you. And it has a list of carbohydrates and what a serving is and some great examples. So that'll give us kind of some of our grams before a workout. I'm going to go with about 15, but it's more about what do you tolerate before your workout and what is convenient, easy for you to do. Right? And then the other big thing in terms of recovery and underfueling, if you are body recomping, you're in a deficit, you're trying to lose some body fat, is making sure you're building your meals and hopefully your snacks as well around protein. One of the best things that we can do for protein is consistency across the day, right? Consistency with your sleep-wake time, consistency with your protein across the day. Specifically breakfast. If I've got any breakfast skippers in here, let's make sure we're getting some protein in the morning, maybe even a protein shake, if that's what we got. All right. So quick and easy. I just mentioned the protein shake in terms of supplements, right? A whey protein isolate is generally a good idea for a lot of folks. Different than the casein, we talked about the slow release protein before bed, but a whey protein isolate is going to be something that your body absorbs pretty quickly. Pair that post-workout with something like the banana or some sort of piece of fruit. That's real easy to make sure that we're hitting that protein consistently, right? So the key is if you are underfueling, let's put in a pre-workout carb, right? Or let's make sure we're trying to not underfuel and we at least are getting our protein, hitting our protein target. Protein targets, I would say talk with one of our dietitians and figure out how much protein you need for the day, right? But again, that thought of consistently throughout the day, trying to get around 30 grams at your meals. If you can get 30 grams, maybe 20, 30 is best before bed. Those are going to be some ways that we can make sure that we are losing body fat and keeping or maybe even increasing muscle mass if you're doing body recomp. All right, we're going to go right in. Mistake number 3. Oh, this is a hard one. Mistake number 3, you're stuck in stress mode. So recovery isn't just physical, it's neurological as well. So a lot of you guys are probably in go mode all day. You may go to work, go to the gym, go home, deal with life, go to bed, rinse, repeat, right? Or you wake up, you go to the gym, you rush, get through work, get home, take care of everything you need to do, prep your lunch for the next day, cook dinner, right? We're in this go mode all the time. Studying, exams, kids, sports, commitments, social things, right? We have a lot going on, and this causes our body never really gets to downshift, right? Never gets to really turn off or decompress. So what do most people do? Maybe we finish our workout, we go straight back into chaos. There might be no cool down. Again, on your recovery bingo cards, there are some cool down ideas for you to take a look at and do. And we may just always constantly being stimulated, right? And if we're not, then we probably look at our phone and get stimulated in some way from something we're seeing on a social media or a reel, right? Whether good or bad, but we need time to decompress. So again, I see Brandon. Yep. So if you feel like you feel on all day, right? Give me a yes in the chat there. You're feeling tired but wired. Has anybody ever felt that way? You're really tired but you just can't go to sleep? Oh my gosh, right? Okay, we got a lot of folks feeling stressed. Okay, we really need this recovery challenge. Then we got to get some bingos. Just last night, says Amy. All right, Shelby, yes. Okay, so here's the fix. Brandon, Jess, Amy, Shelby, right? All of the above, Jess. So it can be as simple as 5 minutes after your workouts, right? Just calm down, relax, maybe talk to some of your friends. Hopefully some of you guys are doing that, but that's a really good decompression from stress, right? That's probably a big piece of CrossFit for a lot of us, is that social time, and you get to have time for yourself and with friends who are also doing things good for themselves and hopefully a positive influence on you, right? But getting to have that decompression time and that kind of you time. That is, although exercise is a stressor on our body in a good way, right? That community feel that CrossFit brings, and your friends, take a couple minutes, cool down, maybe get a light walk or maybe a light echo, right? Echo bike. One of the things too, if maybe you don't have time, again, you're rush, it's 5 a.m. I got to get out the door, got to get at work. Maybe you don't have time to socialize after class. That's okay. But even just doing some breath work, right? And there are tons of apps out there. Very popular one, Calm, right? Or YouTube, something along the lines of meditations. But what I'll say, especially if you've ever been around any military folks, right? It's very stressful life situations. And one of the things, especially when working with special operations populations who are very high stress, what do they do in that moment? They do a lot of training on how to manage stress, especially in the moment, and especially our special operations community. And one of the things that they teach them is breath work, something called box breathing. Anybody here done box breathing or know what that is? So box breathing, if you've done it, I want to know. I want to see how many people know about box breathing. But box breathing is really going to be you inhale 8 seconds, hold 8 seconds, exhale 8 seconds, hold 8 seconds. A box, right? So an 8-second inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And that's just something as simple as maybe you get a stressful email, right? Maybe you're about to commute back home. Maybe you get home and you just pause in the driveway for just 1 minute and breathe, right? It doesn't have to be a 2-hour pampering routine with your candle and your hot bubble bath, although great if you can get that in, right? But it doesn't have to be that. It can be as simple as doing some breath work. We also mentioned earlier the magnesium glycinate. This is also magnesium glycinate can come in and help a little bit with stress. All right, we're gonna wrap up pretty quick here. So mistake number 4, hydration. Most people are underhydrated, don't even realize it. And here's the key. Here's what I see with a lot of my CrossFit folks. A lot of people think, well, I just need some more caffeine, right? you might just be thirsty, or you might just need some more energy from being more well hydrated, right? So a lot of people think they need more caffeine when what you actually need is more water. All right. So you may know when you're underhydrated, your performance is dropping, recovery slow, fatigue goes up. One of my things, I've got new members coming to the gym. The very first thing they work out, I say, make sure you hydrate. If you don't want to be a sore, hydrate. Get half of your weight in ounces of water for the next 48 hours, every 24 hours, right? Each day. So quick, simple thing you can do to check if your urine's clear. Then if it's clear, there's no color, I'm going to say you're probably not taking a multivitamin because it's a neon when you take B vitamins. But if it's clear, that might be too much. We may be drinking a gallon and a half and not doing any electrolytes and going pee every 30 minutes. And it's clear that might be too much, right? Sometimes CrossFitters, we can do too much, right? If it's dark, murky, kind of cloudy, that's usually our cue of like, hey, I didn't really hydrate a whole lot today, right? You wake up in the morning, it might be a little bit more of that color. If it's tea colored, Coca-Cola covered, goes to the urgent care. We don't want any rhabdo, but water hydration is huge. So if you're sweating a lot, especially as it gets hot, right? Longer workouts, then we're probably needing some electrolytes as well to help replace some of what we're losing. Okay, the last one, mistake number 5, too much intensity, not enough recovery, right? We actually don't get better from training. We get better from recovering from training, right? So, and this is really common. We train really hard. We maybe are skipping the low intensity day. We can't do a low intensity day. We got to do something every day, right? Layer in some zone 2 cardio. You have a couple of really great strategies for how do we down regulate that system, right? Especially if you're on the go and stressed. I saw a lot of that in there. And we're doing high intensity workouts. We need to make sure you're recovering. And again, you may need an active rest day. Maybe Sunday, go for a walk, right? Maybe take the intensity down a little bit, right? But listen to your body, know when you need to recover, balance that out with your intensity. There's intention for the workouts and time to push all 100% efforts. And then there's time to listen to your body and make sure you recover so you can push at that 100% effort. 2 supplements that are really helpful in that regard is going to be creatine, 5 grams a day. I really like the Crea Pure formulation of creatine. And fish oil is another one in terms of supplements that can really help. All right, as we wrap up here, thank you guys for participating. I love that. But most people think they need to push harder, but most of the time, you just need to recover better, right? So soreness, it's not our badge of honor. It's feedback from our body. We can do the same workout, We can do the same workout one week and feel fine. We can do the same workout the next week and feel wrecked, right? It's all in how we recover. So it might not be the workout. It may be your recovery. We need to be looking at our stress, our sleep, our fueling, right? In summary, if you just did this, I want you to think about it. I'm going to list this off, and then I want you hopefully to type in the chat what you're going to do for recovery, right? I want you to have at least one thing you're going to do this week to go card full of recovery options, right? But eating a carb before your workout, right? You can give me a clap if that's what you're going to do. Carb before your workout, protein plus carb after your workout, right? We talked about that same thing, protein plus carb before bed. Hit your protein consistently throughout the day. Get your sleep, that sleep-wake time, pay attention. Hydrating, about half of your weight in ounces is going to be really helpful for hydration. And then maybe we're adding in some low-intensity movement, maybe some zone 2 cardio, maybe some mobility stretching, maybe a walk, right? You're going to feel a noticeable difference if we start paying attention to our recovery there. So we don't need a harder program. We don't need more hero workouts. We don't need more workouts in our day, higher intensity, push all the time. We don't need a harder program, but we need a better recovery system. So if you're really not sure of where you can improve on your recovery, well, I bet we can find something, right? But that's exactly what we help with is your nutrition, your recovery, your sleep, your stress, right? It's a holistic approach. And at CrossFit SDA, you guys have access to Dr. Chen, our dietitian. She's our recovery focused dietitian. She works specifically with CrossFit athletes, fueling, sleep, recovery. Your bingo cards actually have a QR code on that you can go there, book with her. What is great is most of the time, I'd say about 94% of the time, your insurance will cover nutrition at no cost. Right? No cost to see Dr. Chen, talk about your recovery, get some good tips, perform better, recover better. And you might be surprised how much better you'll feel once you've dialed in your recovery. All right. Appreciate you guys being on. I'm excited to see how you feel over the next couple of weeks with your bingo cards, seeing some of those checked off. I saw you had them all up on the wall. That is awesome. I love it. Thank you for being here. Take care, y'all.